world. Thank you for joining us for today's Shining the Light on Our Community. I am really, really excited, honoured, and very interested in today's conversation. Because today with me is the beautiful Linda Binns. And thank you for joining us, Linda. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Sophia.
It's an honour to chat to you because you've had such a wonderful and inspiring life, right? Such an inspiring life. So let's just introduce you a little bit. You're an accomplished energy coach. I'd like to know more about that. And as an introverted, highly sensitive and empathic person, you understand how difficult it can be to thrive in a world where you're seen as different. You're speaking my language, Linda. Yeah, totally. You're no stranger to transition, having to start over, living in 5 different countries, 3 different states within the US, and with all those moves starting all over again. I hear what that's like, understand what that's like. And there's so much more. You've been divorced, homeless, and recovered from overwhelming debt. Oh my. Oh my, what a wonderful journey, what an amazing journey. So Linda, let's start. Like I said, welcome. I'm really honoured to be able to talk to you. There's so many people in the world today, especially women, that have had challenges in their life, and you are an example of how to overcome everything. So tell us, Linda, just tell us about you. Tell us how you got to where you are now.
Wow. Where do I begin? I mean, when you talk about those things, all the challenges I've had in my life, and I never look back. I really don't, unless I'm using something as an example. And when I hear that, I think, oh my gosh, who was that person? I don't really recognize that person. I always say that I was raised not to succeed because I had no confidence growing up. I had no self-esteem. It seemed as though I was just so different from everybody else. And I was constantly being told, oh, you're too sensitive. I'll get over things. Oh, why can't you just be more like everybody else? It was all about fitting in, just fit in and be like everybody else.
Yes.
And if I saw things differently or said something that wasn't the norm, I was just dismissed, ignored. I can remember coming home from school one day, sharing something excitedly with my mother, and she just turned away from me and started talking to my brother. And, when you constantly receive those kinds of messages, whether they're verbal messages or, just by the actions that people do, you learn very quickly, or I did, that I had nothing of value to offer. I had no voice. And so I perfected the art of being invisible as much as possible. So I was very quiet. I am introverted. I knew I was different from everybody else. I didn't fit in. And I just tried to be as invisible as possible, because then I got in the least amount of trouble, And I was always told that, I wouldn't amount to anything. And the message really was for me that the best I could hope for was to, just get a job somewhere, a reasonable job, find a husband, have children, so that was the expectation for me. And then when I started working, I actually began to have a different experience. Now, I was always, talk about imposter syndrome, I was always terrified people would find out that any minute I didn't know what I was doing. And so when my bosses started to say things to me, like, about how well I was doing, and people I worked with, I started out as a typist, and then I was a secretary. And people, even though there were other secretaries or other typists around, people began to bring their stuff to me because I did a better job than other people. And I still kept thinking, this is wrong. They're going to find out very soon. I'm not good. But this continually was the message. And I moved, I got promoted. I got into other jobs. I was, became actually a really good secretary. But again, I was terrified that I wasn't really good, and soon they'd find out. But that was the beginning of me beginning to question everything that I thought I knew about myself. Can I really be that bad if everybody at work is telling me, how good I am and what a good job I do? Anyway, I left home as soon as I could. At 17, I went to live in another country, in Malta. I got married at 18. And it was the best thing for me to do. I really needed to get away from home. And after 7 years of marriage, we got divorced. He totaled the car, left me with the car loan. I had a mortgage to pay. I mean, I on my little secretary salary, it was it was in a lot of debt. And then that was when I was homeless. And truly, the only thing that saved me at that point, I think, was my dog. I had a little dog, and I wanted to keep going for him. Anyway, he ultimately, my little dog, was the inspiration for me beginning this journey of understanding energy and learning about energy. He had a heart condition, and I had seen a program on TV about a documentary about homeopathic medicine, and they had a homeopathic vet there. So I found a homeopathic vet to try and help my dog. But anyway, that was the beginning of me being interested in another way, in the natural healing arts, if you like. And so I started studying that, started studying holistic nutrition for my own interest. And the more I learned about it, the more I learned about our lifestyle and what we put into our bodies and the effect that has. I was just so intrigued. And the more I learned about it, I got my bachelor's degree in holistic nutrition. And I just thought, I have to do this. I have to, this is what I want to do. I want to work with other people in this. And so I decided I was going to start a business. And this was actually went after we had moved to the United States. And I say after my divorce, several years later, I met this wonderful man, and we married, and we're still married. And so I moved to the US with him. So I decided I was going to start a business, and I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to share this information. And around that time, I also started hearing about something called feng shui, which is about energy and the environment. And so the more I learned about that, the more I realized, oh my gosh, this goes just so hand in hand, the energy of the body and then energy of the environment. This is so perfect. So I started to become a feng shui practitioner, and then I started my business doing those two things. Now, that was 26 years ago, and we've moved to 3 different states since then. But so over the years, my business has transitioned into, I realized that the focus was energy. It's not about the tools. Feng shui is a tool, and it's a fantastic tool, and I use it all the time, and I love to talk about it and incorporate it. But people would become distracted by that. It was almost like, tell me where to hang the wind chime to fix my life kind of thing, So, and my consultations were never like that. It was always going so much deeper. So my journey has been just constant growth, constant unlearning of everything I learned growing up, and really learning to own who I am. When I read the book about highly sensitive people, and to be honest, people had told me about it, and I read it because I thought, oh, well, there might be something in here that will help enable me to help other people. But when I read it, it was just like an epiphany. It's like, finally, I made sense, right? There's this whole community of people, like 20% of the population, and I'm one of them. There are other people like me, and then it made sense of why nobody understood me, why I was always so different from everybody else. And it's just been this ongoing journey. And I feel like every day I'm a new person. Every day I'm changing something, learning something about myself, changing something about myself, just this journey of hopefully improving and getting better all the time. So that's it in a nutshell. But yeah, so that's how I ended up doing what I'm doing today. And it's my greatest joy is helping other people to get to that point where they understand that it doesn't matter what your challenges are, it doesn't matter what you're experiencing. If you look at things through the perspective of energy, you just change the energy and then your circumstances change. Even when you think it's a situation that you'll never get out of, and I've been in a few of those, you think, how can I possibly get out of this situation? By working with yourself. Right, you change yourself, the situations change. So I just love showing people how they can do that and how they have so much more control over their lives than they think they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Really, I like I said, it's an honor, and I just want to honor you.
Thank you.
You know, for sharing your journey. That is so real, and so many people experience similar things. You know, when you talk about the imposter syndrome, and even way back when you try to share stuff with your mother and she just ignores you, you know, it happens to so many people, so many people. And now you've been, you know, you're an example of how you can overcome that and stuff.
Yes, thank you. I mean, you really can overcome anything. You don't have to let it pull you down. And that's, you know, I've learned to be so grateful for all those situations, for all those difficulties, for the difficult people in my life, for those challenges, because without them, I wouldn't have had the growth.
You wouldn't be the person that you are now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, we don't realize the situations that we're going through are there to actually make us stronger. You know, because we're caught up in whatever situation it is. But then, you know, 3 months down the track or 6 months or however many years, you look back and you go, wow, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be where I am, doing whatever I am. You know, and taking you on a path of energy and energy healing and getting into, you know, that there are alternative ways and stuff, and helping helping your dog and yourself too, and stuff. Yeah. So how else have you been able to use energy in your life to benefit your life and the life of others?
Well, I think everything is energy. So once you realize that, and even, you know, our thoughts, our beliefs that cause us to think the thoughts that we think and the actions that we take, you know, when you believe you're not good enough, for example, that influences everything you do. But that is just that belief, it's just energy, and that can be changed. You know, the thoughts that you have, that's energy that can be changed. When we have an emotion that we don't like, whether it's anger, sadness, frustration, whatever it is, because it's energy, it can always be changed. It's only temporary. It doesn't mean that's who you are and that's how you have to stay. So I think by seeing things that way, by seeing everything as energy, and when I'm in a difficult situation where I'm not feeling good or something's coming up, that belief of not being good enough is surfacing, then I can recognize it and say, oh, okay, that's just that belief showing up again, right? And when you have that awareness of it, then you take the power away. And again, it's energy, so it changes. You know, it only has power over us when either we're not aware of it or when we let it take us over and we buy into the belief that we're not good enough, or whatever the belief is that we have. So I think it's just awareness of my energy, how I'm feeling at any given moment, but also then being aware of the energy around me, but the energy of other people and how that impacts me. And when you're a highly sensitive person, as you know, you are more impacted and influenced by the energy of people around you. If somebody else is angry or upset for any reason, you can pick up on that. Not only can you pick up on it, you can also take it on if you're not aware of it. So I think it takes just constant awareness, self-awareness, and then being aware of the energy around you and how it impacts you. So it's not always about the other person. So somebody could shout at me, right? And why are they shouting at me? I don't know what's going on with them. They could, whatever the reason is, they're shouting at me. Now I could get upset by that and I could shout back, or I could recognize it's something going on with them and it has nothing to do with me. But then if I get upset by it, then that fact that I get upset, that's what I have to look at, so it's always about what's going on and how is it influencing me? How am I feeling? Because anytime, and it's really simple, anytime you don't feel good, something's not right in your world. And so you look at yourself, you look at what do I need to change, you change it, and then you start to feel better. When you feel good, your energy is good, your vibration is higher. When you don't feel good, your vibration is lower. It really can be that simple. I won't say easy always, but it is that simple.
It's that simple. Absolutely. And what do you do personally? When your vibration is down, when your energy level's down and you're being affected you're allowing yourself to be affected by life, by what someone's saying or doing or whatever. What do you do to change your energy level, to change your vibration?
Well, first of all, and I recognize that not everybody is ready to do this, but when that happens, I actually celebrate a little bit, because I recognize that if I'm not feeling good, if it means something is triggered in me, but what that means is that I'm ready to release something. So to me, that's a really good thing. So that's the first thing I acknowledge. And then when I know that, I can actually be grateful. Okay, yes, I'm feeling terrible. I'm going through this horrible situation, but I know that on the other side of this is growth, is something so much better. So that's the first thing, that acknowledgement. And then I always ask myself, what is it I need to learn from this? What is this telling me about myself? And in that willingness to look at a situation and be willing to learn from it, that willingness to learn, to recognize this does not have power over me. It's happening because there's something I need to be aware of. And then once you learn whatever that is, then the situation changes. That's how the situation changes. When you take responsibility for yourself and you learn whatever it is you need to learn. So that's one of my favorite questions. What is it I need to learn about this? What is this telling me about myself?
Absolutely. Thank you. And it's always, it's a wonderful question to ask. And it's just to stop and reflecting, because so much in today's world, just as a generalization, it's so easy to blame others.
Yes.
Or to blame the world. It's the world's fault. For whatever's happening, where I love it how, it's just stopping and asking ourselves, what do I need to learn from this situation and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it tells you, it's a reminder that you are not helpless, because sometimes we feel helpless or we feel powerless. But when we make it about somebody else, or we make it about the problems with the world or the government or, whoever it is, we are giving our power away. We are giving our energy away to that person, to that situation. When you do that, you are weakening yourself. Yeah. But when you say, this is happening, I don't like it, it doesn't feel good to me, so what is that telling me about me? You're taking your power back. That's a very empowering thing to do. And that's when you have the opportunity to change, because when you learn what it is you need to learn, you're holding on to your power. You're not giving it away. You're improving your energy at every moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Now, people can contact you all over the world?
All over the world. And that's one of the beauties of working online, is I get to work with people all over the world. I love it. So yes, best place is through my website, lindabins.com. And that's where you'll find any events that I'm doing. You can sign up for my weekly tips, or you can reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Any of those things through my website.
Okay. Now, just one question. You did mention that you've studied feng shui.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you a feng shui practitioner? As in, the fact is, do you help people?
Yes.
Online?
Yes, I do. I don't actively go. I used to, when I first started, I used to actively go out to people's homes or to people's businesses. I don't do that anymore, but I do long distance consultations if that's what people want. And I also incorporate that into my coaching. So when somebody comes to me with whatever the challenge is, we always look at the home just as a natural part of what we do. But yes, I love to continue to do feng shui, to look at the energy of someone's home or workplace and see, okay, how is that impacting you? Because it's one of the best tools you can have, whatever's going on in your life, whatever challenges you have. When you're on this path of personal growth and you want to change your energy, one of the things you can do that will immediately help you is work with the energy in your home, because that has a direct impact on you. So it goes hand in hand with everything else. It really helps to support you as you are changing the energy and moving forward, because your home is simply a reflection of what's going on with you. Energetically, everything that's happening in your home is a reflection of what's going on with you. So you can work with the energy there to support you through whatever changes you're making.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I'm very interested. I'm actually looking at your website right now. I'm very, very, very interested. Definitely want to talk more with you. Now, just a couple of questions, Linda, just before we wrap up. Mm-hmm. With everything that's happened in your life, right? And it's still, and using the energy now, but life can still be challenging. So what motivates you in the morning? What motivates you to get out of bed every day?
That's a good question. It's the idea that, you see, I am, and I learned this quite a while ago, I am a natural born helper personality. Okay. So whenever I learn something, my first instinct is, I need to share this, right? So I love seeing people transform. I love helping them get there. I love finding creative ways to do that through, whether it's a webinar or whether it's a book or whether it's whatever way we can do that, an event, whatever it is, but finding ways to share this information, because truly, I believe that when we learn, first of all, when we learn who we are, just like when I learned I'm highly sensitive, and finally that made sense to me of my whole life. So it's about learning who you are, accepting who you are, and then understanding and mastering your energy. Life is just so much better when you do that. So I know that, and I apply it every single day in my life. And my greatest joy is sharing that and getting to share in people's experiences as they find this out for themselves. That's my greatest joy. So that really is what gets me up in the morning.
Thank you. And it's wonderful. And again, just like to honor you that, sharing people's experiences. And it is really, really, it is joyful. We do have a wonderful experience listening to others and helping them and things like that. So thank you for that.
If I can just say, nobody does that better than you, Sophia. I haven't known you that long, but I am so impressed by just how much positive energy you are putting out there into the world. I've had the honor of being part of a couple of the panels that you do, and now talking to you like this, and you do so much for so many people. I just want to acknowledge that, because you're just putting out so much wonderful energy into the world. So I honor you for that.
Thank you, Linda. It is appreciated. And it's like you know, it is a joy just to chat to people and give other people the opportunity to share their journey, share
Yes.
their story. And excuse me. Before I go off a cough, very quick question. Is there any other questions that I could have asked you? And how would you answered it? So is there anything else that you would like to share?
Okay. I think people always want to know, you know, how do I start? It always seems very overwhelming if you feel that you're not good enough, if you feel insecure in any way, if you don't have confidence. It seems like, and I think, you know, I've had people say this to me before, that yes, they want to change, but it seems like they have so much pressure in their lives already that they feel like it's going to add more pressure to try and change. And so people ask me about that, and I, you know, really, is it more pressure? No, because it's not so much about what else you have to learn or what else you have to do. It's more about awareness and what you can let go of. And when you let go of what doesn't serve you, once you've identified that and you let go of that energy, then it opens up the space for what does serve you to come in. So it's not more pressure at all. It's a lot less pressure. I know it can feel overwhelming, but I would say, gosh, I was so insecure. You know, I couldn't talk to people like this. I couldn't talk in a group. I remember being at school and I got a C in my English exam because we had to have a group discussion and I said nothing because I was so insecure. Now I can talk on a stage, and that used to absolutely terrify me. And I love talking to people now. In fact, as you know, such an introvert who didn't have much to say, when I get onto this topic, it can be hard to shut me up. So whatever you're experiencing, if I can transform and do a complete change from who I used to be, and I can't even recognize that person anymore, anybody can change anything. And it isn't more pressure. You're relieving pressure. So I guess that would be it.
Absolutely. And I totally agree with you. And what you're saying, I can connect and resonate with that. You know, not being able to talk in school, you know, not having the confidence or valuing yourself because of everything else that's happening to where you are now. Wow, what a journey.
Yes,
what a wonderful journey. Yeah, so thank you. And I definitely would love to continue our conversation. Definitely love to invite you back again. And for everyone who is listening, do click on the links below because I have been putting your website in everywhere where we're live. So do click on that. Reach out to me, even if it's just for a conversation. Thoroughly, absolutely. And like I said, Linda, it has been a real honour to chat to you today. And thank you ever, ever so much.
Thank you, Sophia.